let's call the meeting to order for December 9th at the Sewer Authority Midcoastside. At 7 PM on December 9th. Can we have a roll call, please?
Director Softkey, who's representing Montara Water and Sanitary District.
Present.
Director Roddick,
Here.
Director Slater Carter,
Present.
Director Radback,
Here.
Chair Dye.
Here. And GCSD, the alternates were unable to attend tonight, so. Moving on to. Do you want to say something?
Like-
Public comment, so.
Okay.
Okay, does anyone like to speak on public comment for items that are not on the agenda?
Good. Let me introduce Bill Softke, who's sitting between Barbara and
Hello.
Deborah. And I can't see the table on the screen. So anyway, he's in a black sweatshirt with.
Yes.
Bill has been on our board just over a year,
Almost two.
almost two. Good, I'm ahead of time. And so he's sitting in for Scott Boyd, and this is his first time at SAM, so be kind.
Welcome.
Well, I visited here before. It's my first time doing anything official.
Yes.
It's pretty quick agenda, I hope. All right,
It's
anyone
very
else
exciting.
want to speak? Do I see anyone up there? No, I guess not. Moving on to the consent agenda. Anyone want to remove anything from this consent agenda? I would like to
I
remove,
just will, I was sick, so I have to abstain from the minutes vote.
okay?
So,
I would like to remove item of the minutes of November 26th. GCSD read a statement from its attorney into the record. And there is nothing in the minutes that reflects that our position on the issue, though it does credit another board member with appreciating the detail in the presentation. So I would like to take a look at those minutes and revise them
back.
and bring them back.
Okay,
Other than that, for the other two items, does anyone have an issue with the other two items?
I move that we adopt the other two items in the consent agenda.
The
Second.
disbursements and the scheduled meetings. Any further discussion? Can we have a roll call, please?
Director Softkey,
Yes.
Director Raddick,
yes,
Director Slater Carter,
Yes.
Director Radback,
Yes.
Chair Dye.
Yes. All right,
Just a
Moving
quick
on.
administrative note. So the item that the approval of minutes, was that pulled from the agenda? So there was no consideration of it at all, or do you guys want to table it?
No, we need to, I think some of the language needs to be changed, so we'll reconsider it later.
All
Yeah,
right, so
we'll
just
look at
pulled
it, we'll-
completely.
Yeah, we'll work it out and bring it to the next meeting.
Okay,
That'd be
very
great.
good. Yep, good to go.
I was also recorded as voting I know.
I know.
I know.
That is him.
Y-E base N-O, so I do think we need to, take a look at those minutes.
And her real vote was no.
Yes, so. Anything else on that? All right, item A, regular business, adopt a resolution expressing appreciation for Matthew Clark for his years of service on the Board of SAM Board of Directors.
Yes, so I also see Matthew is on his phone, and we would like to express our gratitude and appreciation of his years of service as director. We've done several important projects at SAM under his guidance at the board meeting, giving a lot of advice, and also after the board meeting wherein he has come in to the treatment plant several times. Some of the accomplishments were the wet weather storage project, the wet weather storage expansion, the Princeton pump station, the force main in Granada, the SAM force main, which is coming up in Montara, and nonetheless, the ERF settlement and the labor settlement, which is coming up now for finalizing with Local 39. So I would request the chair to read out the resolution, please.
Pass it to you. I have to say, I personally, I'm sad to see Matthew retire from GCSD and SAM. He was always very solid and thorough, did his homework. And it was a pleasure to work with him. And I feel as if, when I looked at this, I was so surprised that he had only been on since 2020 as a full-time board member, because it feels like he's been participating for such a long time. He was 21 years on the GCSD board.
Wow.
So the resolution says, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Sewer Authority Midcoastside expressing its gratitude to and appreciation of Matthew Clark for his years of service as a director. Whereas Matthew Clark was appointed to the Sewer Authority Midcoastside Board of Directors January 2005 as an alternate and January 2020 as a director by the Granada Sanitary District, now Granada Community Services District. And during his time as director, he was appointed to serve as board secretary, treasurer, and whereas during his tenure as director and secretary treasurer, he worked toward the continued improvement of the coastside community. And whereas Matthew Clark also served on the GCSD Granada Community Service District for 21 years. During Director Clark's time on the SAM Board of Directors, some of his accomplishments were the wet weather storage project, the weather storage expansion, the Princeton Pump Station, the Granada Force Main, the SAM Force Main in Montera, the ERF settlement, and the labor settlement with Local 39, and many other projects. Whereas SAM will build on the success it achieved under Director Clark's leadership and professional direction. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Sewer Authority Midcoastside hereby expresses its sincere gratitude and appreciation of Matthew Clark for his many years of service as a SAM director and his commitment to the coastside community.
Lovely. I ditto everything you said.
Oh, yeah,
Pleasure to work with.
yeah, I'm sure you're gonna be keeping an eye on us, so I
don't think he's there. I think it was a different Matthew who was.
Yes,
signed on.
yep.
Sorry. Well,
Matthew
I'm
to the
sure
stern.
he's going to be paying attention and keeping us on track for what we need to be corrected on.
Yes.
I always appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yes. Would someone like to make a motion?
I will make the motion
I
to
will second.
adopt the resolution.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Can we have a roll call, please?
Director Softke,
Yes.
Director Radek,
Yes.
Director Slater Carter,
Yes,
Director Radback,
Yes.
Chair Dye.
With great pleasure, yes.
Good.
Moving on, receive and file the annual comprehensive financial report, ACFR for SAM for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024.
Okay, so we are here again. We've been able to complete the audit in the time that is required to be done, and all thanks to our finance team consisting of George, Callie, and Peter, and of course the finance committee and the auditors who made this happen. So I think we'll have a small presentation by our auditors. Callie, you could share the screen with Paul or Jared, and we can go from there. Yes.
Jared,
over
you
to
want to take over?
Yep.
should be good to go now.
Jared, you're muted.
But now we're going to hear a presentation from the auditors. Thank you. And Jared, welcome.
Thank you. Am I going, Paul, or you?
You're going.
Oh, okay. One second here. Okay, can everybody see this PDF I have here?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Well, good evening, everybody. My name is Jared Salmonson. I'm a senior manager with Nigro and Nigro, and I oversaw the audit for SAM. Okay. I'm going to do a brief presentation here. I'm going to start with the scope of work. We were engaged to perform audit test work of the entity's annual financial statements. We were engaged to report on the entity's internal controls over financial reporting and on compliance in accordance with government auditing standards. Our responsibility in accordance with professional standards was to form and express an opinion about whether the annual financial statement results that have been prepared by management are presented fairly in all material respects, in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America. Our responsibility is to plan and perform the audit to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the annual financial statements are free of material misstatements. That is reasonable assurance, that's not absolute assurance. We are to consider the entity's internal controls and segregations of duties over accounting procedures and financial reporting as we perform our audit test work. Such considerations were solely for the purpose of determining our audit procedures and not to provide any assurance concerning such internal controls. So we do not provide an opinion on the internal controls, we just evaluate them and make sure that we can rely on the information that is provided to us. Down here to the audit results, we provided or we gave an unmodified opinion on the financial statements. That is a clean opinion. We do not want any modifications to the language in the opinion. Our opinion is the annual financial statements are fairly presented in all material respects. The adopted significant accounting policies have been consistently applied. Estimates are considered reasonable for depreciation, pension, and OPEB expenses. These are your non-cash expenses. All required disclosures are properly reflected in the annual financial statements. We also required to communicate internal control related matters identified in the audit. No material issues arose from our audit procedures. Any minor issues were discussed orally and corrected by management. That's just part of our back and forth discussions as part of the audit. Again, how do we make you better? Best practice solutions were conveyed to management. We like to be here to bounce ideas off back and forth with district staff. All of that was done. Again, no issues. We like to share what we've seen from all our clients. Next here, we're going to go over just kind of how the numbers came to rest. Starting at the top here with operating revenues, operating and maintenance assessments, very stable from year to year, about 400,000 increase over the prior year. Collection assessments, again, very stable, 775 or 747 the prior year. Pass-through and service charges down about 134,000. Other operating revenue, very stable again. That's just your miscellaneous reimbursements, other items like that. Non-operating revenues, investment earnings, down about 10,000 from prior year. Capital contributions, federal and state capital grants, 360 in this year versus 732 in prior year. That's your FEMA and Cal OES reimbursements from the storms in prior years. That money should be coming to an end here, so not surprised to see it down. And then capital assessments, 3 million versus 3,000,009, so about a $50,000 increase. Again, very stable. Moving down here to operating expenses, treatment up about 241,000. Collection systems 900,000 versus about 1 million last year, down about 111,000. Environmental compliance, again, very stable, 196,000 versus 166,000 in the prior year. Infrastructure, a very small amount there, again, very stable, only about an $800 difference there. And then we have general administrative expenses, 2 million this year versus 1.4 last year, about a $600,000 increase. Again, just to keep this in mind, that's not necessarily a cash increase. Most of that comes from the revaluation of the agency's OPEB and pension liabilities. So moving down here to depreciation expense, 1.3 versus 1.2 in prior year. As more capital assets come online, you're going to see that depreciation number increase each year. So total change in revenues expenses, about 1.4 versus 2.3 in the prior year. That's considered kind of your bottom line there. That's your change in net position or your net income if you're thinking of it as a regular business. Okay, moving down here to capital outlay, we had 3.2 million in capital additions this year. That's cash spent on capital assets, equipment and infrastructure. Taken with depreciation expense of 1.3 million, that gives us a change in capital expense of about 1.8 million there. So moving down here to cash and investments, we have 1.9 million versus 1.6 in the prior year. That gives us an increase of about 276,000 in cash. So down here at the bottom, we're going to go to the quick summary here. We're going to see how we got from the change in net position, changes in revenue expenses versus the change in cash. So we got the 1.4 million of revenue and expenses change in. We're going to take the change in capital expense of 1.8 from above. Debt service payments were 4.3 or 43,000 rather. And then due from other governments, that's the change in the FEMA receivable. So that's the government money from above there, the federal grants. And then we have changes in prepaid expenses of 59,000. That gets us to the change in cash investments of 269,000. It's about $7,000 off from what we see above there. That's just some other accruals caught up in there, change in AR and AP, accounts receivable and accounts payable. And then finally, we're going to look at the investment earnings of the portfolio. It's about 2.8%. This year, we kind of had a benchmark for our clients where we wanted to see about 4%, 4.5%. Even though the government here invested in class this year, which has a very high interest rate, it was more down to just the average daily balance in the investments. A lot of the cash was received later in the year, so that's why the investment earnings on the portfolio are a little less than we'd like to see. But with you being in class now, we expect to see those higher next year. So overall, that concludes our presentation here. I'm happy to answer any questions specific to the presentation or to the financial statements.
One on the board want to comment? I think it's great that we got these results so early, expeditiously, and appreciate the staff's work at getting this all put together in time to apply for this grant. So, not grant, this award, and recognition of a good package of financial materials, a report that was submitted, is to be submitted to the state. Anyone else want to comment?
I want to congratulate the board for supporting the staff so they could do that. It's a team effort. And so I'm thrilled. This is what is our third TAFR award. Keishan?
Yes.
Yes, that's a big deal when we went from 3 years with no audits.
Yeah.
To 3 major awards. So thank you, board, thank you, staff, and thank you, community, for supporting Sam.
And thank you, Nigro.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
doing
Had
it.
some real
Great job.
professional
Yeah.
service in the last year or two, and I think it's made a difference.
It does make a difference.
Yeah, so thanks to the
Well,
team.
thank you. Our pleasure.
All right, would someone like to make a motion? Does anyone from the public want to comment on this? Not seeing anything. Would someone like to make a motion?
I move that we receive and file the annual comprehensive financial report for SAM for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2024.
I'll second.
Right, any further discussion? Right, can we have a roll call, please?
Director Softke,
Yes.
Director Radek,
Yes.
Director Slater Carter,
Yes.
Director Radback,
Yes.
Chair Dye.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Paul and Jared.
Yes, thank you to
you
everyone
all.
involved.
See you guys
Yes.
next year. Hope you have got a nice holiday season, and we'll talk to you in 2025.
Same time.
Thank you, thank you so much.
All right, take care.
All
Bye-bye.
right. Moving on to item D, modify Article 8, Section,
I think we still have C.
oh, sorry. Thank you. Approve and authorize the general manager to execute a side letter agreement with IUOE Stationary Engineers Local 39 to modify Article 9, Section B of the 2005-2030 Memorandum of Understanding regarding health insurance contribution effective January 1, 2020. Can we have a staff report, please?
Yeah, I must say that we've had good discussions with Local 39, and during the entire process of the discussions, I think a lot of it was an agreement, both sides from Local 39 as well as from the management. And we did bring it to the board a couple of months earlier, and the MOU was actually accepted by the board. But subsequent to that, at that point of time, the health insurance costs were not known for the subsequent years. And later on, we got to know about it, and that's why we got a side letter done now, so that we would like the board to accept that. And we also have Chris Bosher with us. I must thank the Local 39 and Christopher and the board members for making this entire process very smooth and getting this MOU, which would go on till January 31st of 2030. So over to you, Chris, if you'd like to add a few words.
Great. Good evening, directors. I'm sorry for the long title, Madam Chair. They always joke, what normal people can say in 3 words, lawyers have to do in 30. But it was just meant for clarity. Good evening, directors, members of the public. Good to see you all. As the general manager had mentioned, out of good labor collaboration with Local 39, this is somewhat unusual in the sense that Sam's labor agreement actually does not expire until the end of this year, this December. But out of good collaboration with Local 39, we actually started the process much earlier. So we actually started bargaining in April, resulting in a tentative agreement in June. And as the general manager mentioned, at the time when we reached the tentative agreement, CalPERS had not even released the healthcare rates for 2025. So this item is really meant for cleanup. It is a slight improvement from the previous agreement that was reached, in the sense that here, in the past, how Sam has always done it is it's pegged to a number that to cover the employee's healthcare cost, and then every year Sam agrees to use the CalPERS healthcare cost escalator, so it goes up automatically. But the math is really the same. But to get employees to the same result, which the idea is to cover most of their healthcare cost, especially for employees that are single and 2-party. Historically, employees have not had to pay for anything out of pocket for healthcare coverage. They just pay their copay and so forth, but nothing to pay for the premiums itself. For family, historically, we pegged it to the Kaiser family rate. This will open it up for individuals who enroll in other carriers, which may cost more than Kaiser. But from talking to the board and from talking to Local 39, and also from a recruitment and retention standpoint, we did look at a number of other comparable agencies to SAM, and those are the agencies that are most likely going to, for lack of a better term, right, poach our employees because of their unique skill sets working in wastewater in special districts. So in looking at that, a majority of them do offer something more beneficial. And so having considered it all and having considered the price difference, the recommendation which the board gave authority to staff to sign this tentative agreement is to go ahead and offer up to the family rate if they do have family coverage for all staff. And this will be for the entirety of the MOU, so it'll be for the entire 5-year period. After which, of course, everything will be subject to negotiations again, but at least for the duration of the MOU, it will be kept the same. Happy to answer any questions the board may have.
The cost is approximately $30,000 a year over and above what we had previously agreed to.
Correct.
According to the staff report. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Well, we want staff to be happy, and we want to be comparable to other agencies. This is an increase to the previous agreed upon agreement. Yes. Okay. Catherine.
It's an increase, having watched healthcare costs.
Yeah.
We have an amazing loyal crew,
I agree.
and some of them could have retired when they were 25. But they are, as I keep saying, the primary environmental crew on the coast, keeping everything clean and habitable. And I think that's a well negotiated addition to their benefits. It as you've heard me say, having watched the price of plywood go up and down somewhat, but and medical care is just crazy expensive anymore. And so I'd like to make the motion that we approve this agreement.
Okay. We have other comments? Looks like no. All right, do we have a second for that motion?
Do we have a public comment? Sorry.
Sorry, yeah, you're right. Is there any public
Yes, I
comment?
do.
Ah.
Sorry.
On behalf of all the same employees, Chris and Kishan and all you guys, thank you very much. It will help retain and keep people here, so, and attract new people here. It's a very difficult business to keep people, and this will do it. Not many people have been around 37 years, but I happen to be one of them.
Yeah, but you started at age 5.
I did start at
Yes.
age four.
I'm sorry.
I'm only 40.
And can you, just for the record, say who you are?
George Long, and I'm shop steward, and like, as Chris says, it was a lot of concessions back and forth, but we were trying to with a goal of retaining people and attracting new blood.
Yeah.
So, and I think we're getting closer. And we're not all the way there, but we're getting close, and we got I should be. I won't see the end of this 5 years, but the rest of the employees.
You may.
I might.
I
Me and Kishan have this deal where he goes, I go, so.
I just wanted to say that George started at age 4 cleaning the coins.
Yes, I did.
Out of the solids, the filter.
Wow.
Before stuff goes into the
Yuck.
no, there was a lot of money made out of that. There was a lot of quarters.
Yes, yeah.
PP canister.
Yeah, you just put it in
And a couple rings, and
hydrogen peroxide.
but thank you guys very much. I appreciate that. And all of the employees do too.
And thank you for coming tonight, and
You're
speaking to
welcome.
that.
That's great.
Sorry. Yeah.
Thanks, Kishan. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to make a comment? Right, yes, we got a second? All right, I guess we need a roll call.
Director Softkey,
Yes.
Director Ruddock,
Yes.
Director Slater Carter,
Of course, yes.
Director Radback,
Yes.
Chair Dye.
Yes. All right. Progress. Yes, thank you. All right, anything further on that? Okay, now moving on to item D, modify Article 8. This is, I think, related item. Section 8.01 of Unrepresented Employees Handbook regarding employee fringe benefits for group medical/dental vision insurance contributions. Is this just related to the previous item?
Correct. It's related to the previous item, and this is basically modification of the unrepresented employees manual. Currently, there's only one unrepresented employee, which is the finance officer. The general manager is on a separate contract, so he doesn't fit into the unrepresented, but still it's applicable. There are a lot of parts of the manual are applicable to the general manager, as mentioned in the contract. Therefore, whatever changes take place in the Local 39, we try to adopt that also into the unrepresented manual. This is one of them, which we'd like to adopt in the unrepresented manual. So we're just extending the same to the unrepresented employees. So if there are any questions, or if Chris would like to add anything further, go ahead, please. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, the entire manual is 50 pages. So just to save the board from having to go through, the only change is to make it equitable to the Local 39 deal. And then since we're on a public meeting, as your labor attorney, I'll have to tell the public that what we said about working at Sam at 4 years old, there's child labor laws, even though he'll look 35 forever. That was all a joke for members of the public. Sam does not have child labor, and we won't be doing that. And just wanted to thank the board and Local 39 and all the employees for the opportunity to work with you all on the negotiations, and to wish everyone a happy holidays. Thank you.
Can I retain you, Chris?
Unfortunately,
No, we
you
only
can't, because
work for
Christopher's
Sam.
only 16 years old.
We're only on Sam's side.
But as a contractor, he can work whatever he can negotiate, so.
Oh, great. Any discussion on this item? Would someone like to make a motion?
Move approval of item D.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Anyone from the public who wants to speak on this? All right, can we have a roll call, please?
Director Softke,
Yes.
Director Radek,
Yes.
Director Slater Carter,
Yes.
Director Radback,
Yes.
Chair Dye.
Yes.
Good.
So as we power
Thank you.
through, like a quick agenda on a call it holiday month.
Yep.
Not having a meeting on the 23rd, right?
No, we are not having a meeting on 23rd unless something comes up. Otherwise, we would like to cancel the 23rd meeting.
Melinda.
Anything further in regular business? All right, general manager's report.
None to report as of now. The detailed report will be always in the second meeting of the month with all the flows and the data. So if staff is here to answer any questions, if anything comes up.
Anyone want to comment? Anyone from the public? All right, attorney's report.
Yes, thank you, Chair Dye. I have a attorney's report. I have a short presentation I put together because there's a case being argued this month I thought you folks might find interesting. So I will just briefly go switch to that. Hopefully I can share screen here. Okay. I don't see my document. That's not good. So I'm going to try something real quick and see if that'll work. I'm going to switch my screen over here. All right, that's screen one. Okay. Let's see if this will work. Okay. Does anyone see, do folks see, what are you seeing?
See a little bit bigger.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. You see the PowerPoint presentation?
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, good. I always have that moment of fear with my two screens that I'm showing you the wrong one. So, okay. Let's see if I can, I'm just actually gonna go ahead and play the, go ahead and play it. So that should resolve the size issue. How's that?
Much better.
Okay, it's still a little small. Sorry about that. Okay, so we're going to talk about an issue that could be helpful, probably less of an issue for SAM as JPA, but certainly relevant to all of the member agencies. And this recent statute, which was passed in 2022, deals with an expedited way of complying with Prop 218 in a way that limits your exposure to challenges. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because there was a challenge to the application of this statute that was just filed, and CASA had asked for amicus support on it. So I figured we hadn't talked about this particular aspect of Prop 218 in recent legislation. So I thought I'd briefly touch on this because it could be helpful to your agencies. So Government Code in 2022, in response to the fact that a lot of agencies were getting sued under Proposition 218, also Prop 26, which was the child of Prop 218 to cover fees and other kinds of charges that were not within Prop 218. Because there was so much litigation, ACWA, working with, which is the Association of California Water Agencies, working with CASA, which is the sanitation agencies in California, sponsored legislation, which was ultimately successful, to narrow the universe of types of litigation that could be brought to challenge the adoption of new rates. And so it's actually not just the adoption of new rates, but also the modification of rates, amendment of existing fees or charges for water or sewer service. Now, the new requirement, and there's some procedural requirements you got to go through to be able to take advantage of this, is you have to a potential challenger has to bring litigation with 120 days of either the effective date of the ordinance, motion, resolution, whatever the case may be, or the date of the final final passage adoption, whichever is later. So you basically have a 120-day clock from when the new rates are approved or when they're effective. So relevant here is if there's another statute which establishes a different time frame, then that does apply. That's normally not going to be an issue for you. Next one down is, and I'm going to talk about this case in just a second, but I wanted to give you a little context. Subsection D here. One of the things you have to do if you want to take advantage of this shortened statute of limitations that keeps you from getting sued 4 years, 5 years down the road, because that's what was happening in 2022. This was meant to address. So when you do your Prop 218 notice, and those of you who've been on the board, have been on boards for a while, probably remember approving, at least authorizing Prop 218 notices to go out after doing a rate study. But if you want to take advantage of the shortened statute of limitations, you have to include in your written notice a statement that there is this 120-day statute, because people have to be put on notice that it's something that they've got to be cognizant of. And if they want to challenge it, the way they have to do it is what's called reverse validation. Validation is a type of legal process where, say, one of your agencies wanted to validate bonds or something like that, you'd bring a validation action. And anyone who wanted to challenge the validity of your action as an agency would have a certain amount of time, typically either 120 or 60 days, to bring that challenge. Reverse validation is the opposite, meaning if there's an action to approve new rates, anyone in the whole world wishing to challenge that would have to do it within the 120 days. It's a reverse validation action. It limits the universe of ways you can be sued under Prop 218, and I would argue under Prop 26 as well. So, and it only takes effect after January 1st, 2022. All right, so what's new here? Let's see. Oops, went too far. Go back one. Okay, so challenging the statute of limitations under SB 323. So the statute provides 120 statute of limitations. We talked about that. Have to be reverse validation, and people must have been received notice as part of the notice that goes out as part of Prop 218. Gosh darn it. Okay. So Mr. Hatfield was a ratepayer in Calaveras County, and he did not file his challenge within 120 days. And what he argued was, well, geez, I'm not challenging any new fee or any increased fee. Basically, what had happened was there was a fee that was only good for 5 years. And then it wasn't being increased, it wasn't being modified, but it had expired. And so the agency just basically said, okay, well, now we're going to continue it for another 5 years. And Mr. Hatfield argued, well, okay, well, that didn't trigger the requirement for 120 days because all you were doing was just, keeping it the way it was. And so the court said, no, that's not right. If you have action on a fee or a charge by the governmental body approving it, that is going, assuming you comply with the procedural requirements, the 120-day statute of limitations is going to apply. So the trial court dismissed the lawsuit as time barred, and it is now pending appeal, and CASA and ACWA are participating as amicus in the Court of Appeals to urge that the trial court's decision be affirmed. So short and sweet. Just wanted you to know that was something out there as you go and do your own Prop 218 processes. But it's good that the trial court and likely the appellate court are recognizing ways that agencies, as long as they give the public a reasonable way to participate, can limit, potential future Prop 218 liability. That's it.
Thank you very much. Anyone have questions?
No, I just want to thank you for the clear explanation, and it is very relevant in this day and age of the complaint and sue.
It is, and in fact, it's gotten a trend that's been, I guess, depending on your perspective, a little troubling has been efforts by some attorneys to bring class actions against some agencies, which rather than having, if you have individual claimants, and you could have your fee or charge invalidated, that's no fun, but then you basically have to do it over again. But if you have a huge class action suing you for, for damages, potentially, turn into a huge amount of money. And so there's another statute as well. I'm not going to talk about it today, but there's another recent piece of legislation as well that seeks to curb that and give agencies a bit more predictability. So anyway, that's that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other comments? Any comments from the public? All right, thank you, Jeremy. That was really helpful.
Sure.
Director's reports,
Can't think of anything.
topics for future board consideration, anything that's in addition to what's on the agenda?
I think we've got. Yeah, I think we've got our agenda list, so.
I think it's fine. All right, do we need to have a closed session tonight?
I have no need for one.
Nope, I have no need for one too.
Yay.
Then this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all and happy holidays, everyone.
Hey, happy holidays.
Happy
Okay.
holidays,
Happy
directors.
holidays.